This is Kitco News special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.
Hello and welcome to Kitco Mining's coverage at the Future Minerals Forum in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Joining me today is Adam Lundin, Chair of Lundin Mining. Adam, welcome back to Kitco.
Thanks, Paul. Great to be here. Good to see you.
Now, we're at the Future Minerals Forum. The vibe here is quite electric. It's a massive event. How has it been for you? What's your feeling of the vibe? What's been of interest to you here?
I agree with you. It's definitely very electric, quite a buzz. It's super nice to see all your peers in one place. I think the whole industry is here. It's nice to catch up with a lot of people and also get to know Saudi and their ambitions and diversifying into minerals. Good to catch up with as well with them and strengthen the relationship.
It's, I think, an interesting time in the mineral space because, there's a lot of talk about the future minerals, critical minerals, electrification, things of that nature. One of the questions that follows on quickly to that is, who's going to fund all this? Obviously, Saudi Arabia is sitting on a lot of money, big sovereign wealth funds. It's actively looking to develop its mineral sector in country, but also looking to bridge out and use its resources elsewhere in the world to develop mineral resources. How do you see the finance in the mineral sector continues to be a challenge? How do you see that landscape evolving?
Yeah, no, I think it's, coming up with on the oil side in Saudi and understanding hard assets and the capital intensity of it. It's kind of natural to look at the mining space. Obviously, I think mining's a bit more challenging and takes a bit more time to develop projects, but everyone gets excited when you see a new party enter the space, so wants to come and understand their ambitions. Again, I agree. They want to see what's in their backyard and also see what's abroad, and so I think their strategy will mature and play out over time.
And in some ways that, perhaps on a different scale, but it reflects the evolution of the Lundin Group, because the Lundin Group started off in oil and gas and has obviously branched out into mining over the decades.
Yeah, no, obviously on a lot smaller scale, but yeah, no, Grandpa got started on the oil and gas side, and then Dad really built out the mining side, and after the sale of Lundin Energy, obviously a big focus has been on the mining side, and it's been very exciting.
And you're still involved in oil and gas with, was it International?
Yeah, International Petroleum Corporation, which my brother Will is CEO of, and then we also have Shamaran, which is in Kurdistan, and those are our two oil ventures.
Okay, but we're here to talk about mining, and I think it's fair to say that 2024 was an obscenely successful year for the Lundin Group. You had record gold production at Lundin Gold from Fruta del Norte in Ecuador, amazing drill results from the copper exploration at NGEx Resources in San Juan in Argentina. Obviously the buyout of Filo by BHP and the partnership between BHP and Lundin Mining that's looking to develop Jose Maria and later on Filo in San Juan in Argentina. And of course, Montage Gold, getting that off the ground with the Koné Gold project in Côte d'Ivoire. Yes. What was the highlight for you?
Well, that's a very good question. No, it was a very busy year, very proud of the teams. They worked tremendously hard and a lot of big announcements. Thinking about the highlights of the year, like Lundin Mining just did so much. I mean, you almost had to pinch yourself at the end of the year to see what the team achieved. I was very happy they were still standing, but I think exercising the option at Caserones was exciting. Getting the deal done with BHP announced and hopefully closing shortly was very exciting, and just seeing how the teams work. And they made the initial investment in the Filo 2 years ago, and the relationship has just strengthened since then. So now to come and make it official and form a joint venture together is probably the highlight.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the partnership BHP and Lundin Mining. How do you see that evolving and developing over the years to come?
Yeah, I think right now, so when the deal closes and the joint venture is formed, you have equal representation on the board of both companies, and then we'll start to continue to staff up the JV. And then now in Argentina with the RIGI bill going into law, you have an 18-month window to make that fiscal stability application, and I think that's something we'd like to work towards. A lot of work still needs to go in the field and on the engineering side, and still a lot of drilling, but hopefully be able to come out with a resource on Jose and Filo in the first half, And I think that'll be a very exciting milestone to demonstrate, what Lundin Mining and BHP bought.
Now, with Jose Maria, that's been at a, let's say, pre-development stage for quite a while now, and one of the aspects there, one of the, let's say, the gateposts for its development has been let's say, a tax stability agreement. Now with the RIGI regime, you've got a construct to work towards. You mentioned you've got perhaps an 18-month window to file your application. When do you anticipate the company or the partners filing that application?
I think it's prudent. So went into law in July of last year, and you have a 2-year window to apply. So, I know latest when the application will go in. I think the team and everyone, when you're able to come up with a resource and announce further milestones, hard to say exactly when they want to make the application, but I know the last date when we can make it. And so if it's going to be sooner than that, let's see how we get going. But it'll be in the next 18 months. Okay,
you mentioned you've got some more drilling to do. With BHP coming in as a partner, obviously they've got very, very technically competent. Their benchmarks, their standards are very high. So if they come in and ask you, hey, we need to do extra work here, extra work perhaps on the metallurgy, extra infill drilling, things like that, that perhaps you weren't considering when it was Jose Maria?
I think obviously they were on the philo side, and so seeing the standards at site, and there was some shared camp, so they could kind of see Jose Maria when they came to visit the field. I think they were helping us and giving us pointers along the way. So I think a lot of that has kind of been tackled as we've been getting to know each other over the last couple of years. And so I don't think there'll be too much rework. I think we're going to be able to hit the ground running.
How do you see, Jose Maria is going to be the first deposit to be developed, but the next one in the chain is obviously Filo del Sol. Yeah. What's the timeline for that getting into that sort of investment stage?
Well, with the RIGI, and when you apply, I believe, when you get the application, you have to spend 20% of the capex the following 2 years to stay compliant. So really, once the application comes in, you've got to be ready to get going. The build will be, 3 to 4 years. It'd be great to get into production by 2030 if possible. But we're not going to rush anything on the technical side, but excited, and obviously a lot of work has gone into Jose Maria. First feasibility study was in 2018, and we'll have to do an updated one. But yeah, seeing Jose Maria come in first and then being able to bring over that high grade from Filo should really juice the production profile.
Will Filo count as, let's say, a satellite pit to Jose Maria under the RIGI auspices, rather than having to make perhaps a separate application?
Yeah, I think pretty soon we'll probably just refer to it as, the Vicuña district, and with the Vicuña Joint Venture submitting that under RIGI as one package.
Excellent. Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Lundin Gold. It's a standout gold producer, highest margins in the business pretty much. Record production of over 500,000 ounces last year. 2024 financial results coming out very soon. I imagine they're going to be quite spectacular. How do you see Lundin Gold growing and developing in the future?
Yeah, I mean, Ron and the team, it's just been an incredible journey, and done such a terrific job. Ecuador's been such a great place to work. Have great relationships throughout the country and with the local communities. I think, as we were focused on building and ramping up and now getting up to this 500,000 ounce per annum level is very exciting. It also now, as operations are running very well, gives us the time to finally hit the exploration side of it hard. And so I think with that success, you probably have your growth asset within the portfolio there. So it's nice when you don't have to go out and buy something to grow production. So I think we'll stay quite concentrated at Lundin Gold and continue to explore and see, is there another deposit that we can put into production on the land package.
I was fortunate enough to spend a few days at Fruta del Norte last year and with the exploration team, and they're certainly talking about the possibility of finding 1, 2, 3 more FDNs there, both near the mine and in the regional land package you have there.
It's just such a prospective area that's been so under-drilled. And Andre and the team coming in and drilling it off, like the hits you're getting at Bonza Sur, is looking very interesting. So it's just how quickly can you put a resource and look to see define and show to the market that there is that growth asset on the portfolio.
Another aspect I really liked about the company was its attitude to managing its debt, looking to pay it off as soon as possible, and it paid it off, well ahead of time, which in the mining space, a lot of companies seem to keep a lot of debt on their balance sheets for an extended period of time, which to me, seems risky. Why do you think more companies don't really look to accelerate their debt repayments and get to a debt-free status?
I think it's always like quite a balance, right? Do you pay off your debt quickly? Are you happy with the debt? Okay, comfortable with the debt position you have, and prefer to do buybacks because you feel your valuation is low? I think it really depends on a company by company basis, but for us, our cost of capital was probably a little higher than the traditional debt some of the other companies have that are okay having a bit of a debt position. And so for us, it was keen to pay that off and be debt free, and also be able to buy back the stream was very good for both Lundin Gold and Newmont.
Okay, 2024, as mentioned, was a great year of achievement for the Lundin Group companies. What's on the cards for this year?
I think now, a lot of transactions last year. It took a lot of the management's time, but we couldn't take our eye off operations. And so I think we did a good job managing both. And now we have to go ahead and build out these projects. We touched Montage Gold briefly there. That's fully financed and in construction now. So you got to do that properly to remain having shareholders' confidence in your stories. And similar with now Lundin Mining and Vicuña and pushing that forward. I think now it's really a focus on operations and our growth projects and making sure we do that perfectly.
Well, we're at the Future Minerals Forum. A lot of the talk here is about critical minerals, things of that nature. Gold, a lot of people wouldn't say is critical, although it plays an important role in the world financial system. But copper, certainly, I think a lot of people would say it's critical. You're obviously very active there with the exploration companies, with Lundin Mining. You're also exposed to zinc and tungsten. Yes. With fireweed metals in Yukon in Canada. At the group level, what's your outlook in the mineral space? Where do you want to be? Is there somewhere or a mineral that you want to be in that you're not currently exposed to?
I think, you used to always talk with Dad, and if we went back in time, we'd probably look at the iron ore business. Obviously, the outlook there with China looks a little choppy, but today I think with our exposure on the gold side and the copper side, and then also with fireweed metals being able to secure some DoD funding and some Canadian government funding is very exciting. I think the nichier metals are a bit tougher just because of the volume restrictions, and it's not that big of a market, but getting the support from the governments to help move projects forward is exactly what you need. And so that's what starts to get me excited about metals like tungsten. And so
how do you view this, let's say, the geopolitical situation? Because the United States next week will have a new president, and tensions between the United States and China, for example, have been increasing. There's a lot of talk about the commodities war or competition for commodities. As a group of private companies, how do you sort of play or seek to exist within that perhaps increasingly hostile geopolitical atmosphere?
I think you always have to do a good job and make sure you're working closely with your host nations. Obviously, like mine lives outlast any term that someone's in power for. Just got to try and have that dialogue and see what works and move together, but try not to take sides too much and just try and navigate the political arena. Obviously, it's very different today. With China, Zijin came into Montage, and they've been a great partner so far. I think just try and keep an eye on all of it, but let's see what happens with President Trump coming in and what he wants to do.
Let's finish where we started, talking about copper. The copper price has been hovering around that sort of $4 a pound. Seems like forever now. Will copper break out?
I think probably continue to see small deficits on the copper side. Obviously, if the price gets too high, you see the biggest buyer of copper, China, kind of slow down, and they've gotten pretty good at not driving the price up too high. I think copper will be strong, between the $9,000 to $10,000 ton this year, and give you enough. There'll be some swings, but give you enough stability to go out and come out with a plan that you can execute on and be comfortable.
So that's what, $4.50 a pound, yeah. Okay, so the Lundin Group's got a lot of cards on the table, a lot of developments happen this year. If everything goes to plan, let's say a bit of luck in there as well, where do you want the Lundin Group to be at the end of this year?
At the end of this year, it'd be great to give as much clarity on timing and the movement of Acuna. Very exciting to see how the exploration program pans out at NGX. Wojtek's drilling some very exciting holes, some pretty big step outs. So very exciting to see what that yields. And then Montage, continuing to stay on time and on budget with the construction. So I think it'd just be nice to see at the end of this year solid, steady progress on a lot of the projects that we're advancing.
Well, Adam, I wish you the best of luck with that. Adam Lundin, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul. Great to see you. Good to be here.
And we have a lot more to come from the Future Minerals Forum from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. So stay tuned. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.
This is Kitco News special coverage of the Future Minerals Forum.